Hey, it's Margie with the Asking Spot, and I picked up this at a thrift store. Got it for, I think, like $2? Yeah, and it was quite the deal. I'm going to make it into a keepsake box. Now, granted, it is pretty cute as is, but it's not going for the person I'm giving this to. It's not their look at all. So what I'm going to do is clean off the sticker first, and then I'm going to normally just go to town scuff sanding it up with a really light sand. But because there was some of the plastic that was attached on the top to put this picture on was coming off, I had to be a little bit more aggressive with the top of this. I mean, a lot more aggressive. The rest of it, the sides, I gave those guys just a really light sand and it turned out pretty good. But then I went back to the top, started sanding some more and peeling. I actually can't complain. Some of the peeling was kind of, well, appealing.
I'm not into puns.
Like with any other project though, I do need to clean this off, all the sawdust off of it or sanding dust off of it before I can proceed to my next step. But because this is cardboard, cleaning it's not going to be just your standard. Now, unfortunately, I don't have on hand any of those, those things. But I do have an old t-shirt that I've cut up, and I'm going to go ahead and spray it with my vinegar water mix, because the vinegar in the water, it's a 50-50 mix. That is a drying agent, so that'll help keep this from getting too soaking wet.
So I had a completely different idea. That's why I painted it black. And then I went, no, I want to do something different. But I left this in here to explain why it's black.
I'm going to put on some white chalk paint. Why? Because I'm going to try and do a photo transfer. I got a bunch of these from our cousin, and she's so sweet. She is, my mom's most beloved older sister. She is her daughter, and she sent us these pictures of our mom when she was young. And they're just, I love them. And they're so wonderful. And it's just so sweet. So I kind of want to do something with these. Now, not the pictures themselves. I'd like to do a photo transfer. And everything I've studied on it is, if you've got a LaserJet printer, you are golden. You can pretty much transfer photos with any medium you want. Now, I did watch one woman who, I'm not going to name any names, but if you've seen her, you know, she's delight. The only problem is everything I followed up on her, like the really cool, easy ones that were, you can do a photo transfer just using essential oils. It wasn't until you dug deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and then followed into the comment lines that you found out that not only is paper really important when you're doing that transfer, but you also had to have a special type of toner that's not readily available in the US. So that didn't help. But you can do photo transfers with an inkjet printer. They just don't come out as clear. But here's something integral and important you have to remember. Number one rule, you have to do it on cheap printer paper. I had our regular business paper in there that, my husband gets. It's premium. I think he gets it at Costco. I have no earthly idea. But it wasn't until I went to this pharmacy that was in walking distance and I bought some paper there, real cheap stuff. That's when I started getting some okay results.
Okay, at this point, I'm way too bogged down on the many ways that I tried and failed. Let's skip to where I started getting some success. Things you need: your adhesive medium. In my case, it's Mod Podge. Could be a polyacrylic if you'd like. I'm also using an old card to help press out the bubbles. And then to varnish it, it's either, the top of the glue handle, the glue stick there, or the scissors handle. Just something smooth that you can help rub the item into whatever you want it to adhere to.
It's really important to make sure that when you are getting ready to print your pictures out of the photos that you want to use, that some of them really need to be flipped in order to do the right picture. You need a mirror image of it, is what I'm trying to say, because, if it was just a picture of a sunset, it's not going to be a big deal if you had clouds over here and then when you transferred them over, oh look, the clouds are on this side. But with these pictures, and usually with people in general, you do want it to reflect the correct way. The other reason a mirror writing is important is because, well, my mom wrote, little cute things on it we want to keep. She wrote on here, you're seeing it in mirror writing because I printed it out the way, the Southwest. So I want to be able to see that in the transfer. Now, if I didn't, this is my practice run, you can see it's got the month that they got married in, and it's written backwards.
Once you have your mirror image pieces, you cut them out, but make sure you leave a little excess. That's going to help you peel off the extra paper. So you do want that hanging over it. And you also want to go around and see where you think the pieces should go. Sorry about the camera angle there, though. And then we're on to adhering them. Now, I'm using Mod Podge. This just as easily, like I said, could have been polyacrylic. And I'm doing mine, I think, in a gloss, but that would be your choice if you want satin gloss or whatever. Applying it to both the lid or the box as well as the picture. And then once you flip them over and put them where you want them, you're going to go ahead and try to smooth out any wrinkles or bubbles. Now, I wish I had smoothed out the Mod Podge, see right there, before I put this on, because that would have made for a nicer finish in the end too, getting that smoothed out. Using a credit card though here, seriously, gift card, whatever you got. I'm using the top of a glue stick just because it's smooth. I could have also used the side of the scissors handle, again, just a smooth piece, to put a fair amount of pressure on this to get the picture to adhere to the box. Once I did this, I'm going to go ahead and repeat all those steps on the rest of the pictures for the box. And then, much to my own surprise, I actually had patience enough to let this dry overnight.
You ready? It's time to get them off. It's dried overnight, and I'm going to mist it with water real lightly and then carefully start to pull the paper away, and then do some gentle rubbing. Gentle rubbing. I'm actually going to maybe bring out an X-Acto knife and try to get it off with that. I highly recommend, before you do this on something you care about, practice, because the rubbing it's just got to be just right, and you also need to know when to quit. When you get to this stage in the process, you might be thinking,
Oh, well, that looks like absolute crap.
it gets a little bit better with the top coat. When it came to sanding this piece, I went ahead and used a 220 grit for most everything on it to knock off some big chunks that were still on it. But whenever I was sanding across the pictures, That's where things got a little more intense. I went ahead and sanded only in one direction, and I tried to use always the lighter sandpaper just to test it out, a 320 grit. I did that first, testing and carefully going along. I did the outsides of the pictures first just to see what I could get away with, because if they faded out, that would be fine. And it turned out it's a pretty durable piece. The top coat being a part of this was a big deal. To spray that on first really helped matters. Now, once it was all said and done, I had nicked off more than I needed to in some spots, and some spots were just kind of dirty and gross, so I went ahead and did some touch-ups. Now, to add the final top coat. I will say, I've learned a lot with this piece, and I think in the future, I'll be a lot more careful on how I place the, whatever product I'm using to adhere it, whether it's, the Mod Podge or polyacrylic, or even if I was doing a paint transfer. I'm going to make sure that goes down a lot smoother and pay more attention to that, because that will help the end results. But now, the final top coat. I'm going to do the photo printing on this. It was $5. Fortunately, if this doesn't work, I don't know anyone with the F initial. I imagine if I think hard enough, I might find somebody, but hopefully I can do a little bit of transfer fun on these two. We'll see. So the stand was kind of cool, but I just didn't like the color of it. So I took off the brown felt and I went out and got some black felt to replace it. Cleaned it up, sanded it up, and then I went ahead and spray painted it black. Now, the type of photo transfer I'm doing this go around is going to be with chalk paint. I'm going to paint these pieces white, and then I'm also going to paint the image I'm going to transfer onto them. So comparing the two, I found that the Mod Podge, it had its benefits where I felt like I got better adhesion of the entire picture on the piece. Where I didn't get that with the chalk paint, I had a lot of parts where I was like, ooh, that didn't go all on. However, with the chalk paint, I felt like I got a smoother piece all around. When it went down smoother, of course you could control it so much better with water. And then when the piece was finished, it looked smoother all across. But all of this could be down to user error.
You mean you?
I think if I was more careful with the using of the Mod Podge or even a polyacrylic, if I was just more conscientious of putting it down smoothly, that might have helped in that end. And with the chalk paint, I think if I just made sure that I had gotten extra thick chalk paint evenly distributed everywhere, I might have better chances with that. But in the end, I think you're going to be more patient and tolerant than I am. And of course, practice, practice, practice. It does show though that you can use an inkjet printer. Obviously, laserjet printers work super well and might even have a more clear picture transfer. I don't know, because I'm not going to go out and invest in a laserjet printer.
Yeah, she's cheap.
And now, before we look at the finished and finale pieces, we're going to take a look at where we started. And my apologies for not being familiar with an F word.
Seriously?
For a friend or a family member. So I went ahead and instead of just giving these to someone else, I changed them. Let's take a look at what they look like now. And if you could, please click subscribe, thumbs up, a comment, which one is your favorite. I would really greatly appreciate that. It helps out the channel. And I think if I had to do this again, yeah, I probably would have done our pets maybe instead of my husband and myself, but it made me laugh. So I went ahead and used them. Thanks so much for watching The Asking Spot. Got bloopers coming up next. Just led to more and more and more, but peeling is kind of fun. Well, there's definitely a squirrel somewhere in the neighborhood. I'm sweating like a dog. Dogs don't sweat. Okay. Whatever. Cliche you want. I'm sweating. In time now. I can see where you'd think, well, that's just a dirty smudge. But wait, there's more to come. What I'm hoping is that when I put the top coat on the pictures, it's a dog doing something they shouldn't.